I'm very excited to hear today's stories. Every month, please join us because we share 3 to 4 exciting Israel startups. And I'm going to post my LinkedIn profile here. Please connect with me. I'd love to connect with any of you and let us know how we can help. Take it away, Avi Neville.
Thank you, Tony. Good afternoon, everybody here in the US, and good evening to everybody in Israel. And we are very happy to have Uri, Zack, and Noam with us on this program today. They will tell their company stories. Let's move to the next slide. Just I want to give a shout out to our production team. You can see it here. And basically, it's an effort of all the teams. The names are on the slide. And our next event is November 10. And I urge you also to register. Let's see why. Yeah, okay. A little bit about our organization. We are Chamber of Commerce for Israel, Rhode Island. And we are trying to help to bring to fruition relations in business, academia, and research between the two states, Israel and Rhode Island. History, to those who didn't know, there is a long history between Israel and Rhode Island, and it's going back to 1860. A little bit news, some good news. This week we announced a new project with WICS, the Israeli company, and the Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, to help small businesses. And we want to thank the Israeli consulate that have really helped to facilitate and fund some of the project. There are links if someone interested to know. And then there was some good news this week also. Diagnostic Robotics from Israel, joined Brown University Lifespan Center for Digital Health. So when we talk about building relation, you can see things are happening, and the governor was very involved in that, Secretary of Commerce prior, and the consulate and other people. Another thing we did this a week ago, we had an event with Israel, with the Federation of Israel Chamber of Commerce, promoting Accelerator of Hope and Maine. And as you can see, they already have 3 Israelis there. I want to tell you that one of the bakers, to the Israeli ones, his cakes are really, really, really good. And arugula, and basically, definitely can give a run for those who are in Israel to marzipan in Shuk Machane Yehuda to the Israelis. Then I will remiss if I will not say that I'm sad. Our Consul General to New England, Consul General Zev Boker, is leaving back to Israel after 2.5 years. Rhode Island have a terrific friend with him, and he will be missed. He did a lot of programs. He traveled with the governor to Israel as well. And again, Zev, we'll miss you, but definitely we'll keep in touch. One more shout out to the Bird Foundation. There is an opportunities for Rhode Island and Israeli companies. There are funds, great funds in the energy research, but also in other areas. So I urge you to go on the Bird Foundation or call us if you're interested to do a joint research. There's up to $1 million in the general financing, but on the R&D for energy, they're up to $5 to $6 million. So that's something that I urge you all to look into it. Some innovation stories here. You can see that a lot of Israeli companies had some great successes. And I want to tell you, and I will not say now, but one of the CEO of those companies will be on our future programs. So stay tuned. The last, I want to thank our Ophir Sigel. She's our new member that helps us. She created a flyer for Israeli companies. If you know anyone that's interested to participate in the program, the flyer is in Hebrew. There is a link below, and you can register, and we'll evaluate. And if you meet the criteria, definitely we'll be happy to have you on our program. So I will finish here, promote the business between Israel and Rhode Island. And I again have to say thank you very much to our team, to Tuni, to Annette, Avi, and the rest of the team Without you, that will not happen, and you on a daily basis helping to build those relations. So thank you, and thank you to our speakers. All right, the Lieutenant Governor will have a message for us.
Hi, I'm Rhode Island Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. I'm so glad to be here virtually today to highlight the unique relationship that Rhode Island has developed with Israel over the years. One aspect of this relationship that I'd like to spotlight is my office's partnership with the Rhode Island Israel Collaborative and its president and CEO, Avi Neville. Avi is a founding member of my office's International Economic Ambassadors Initiative, a volunteer effort that invites Rhode Islanders to use their international networks to attract investment and create economic opportunity with countries around the world. This program is a great opportunity to create new networks, share ideas, and build stronger, more connected communities. Avi is currently our lead ambassador for Israel, and we have been so grateful for the connections he's been able to make, even during COVID-19. Over the last few months, through Avi's leadership, our international economic ambassadors have participated in a series of lively and informative virtual meetings with leaders from Israel's Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. Together, we've shared ideas and best practices on navigating this pandemic. We've also had powerful discussions on economic recovery and supporting small businesses. The Rhode Island Israel Collaborative is such an innovative model that has truly strengthened government, business, and research relationships between Israel and the state of Rhode Island, and we know they've only just begun. We are incredibly fortunate to have Avi Neville leading the collaborative, and we look forward to working with him to continue building bridges and finding new, exciting ways to make our community stronger. Together, thank you, and stay safe.
Annette, it's also yours.
Excellent. Hi, I'm Annette Tanti. I'm the Managing Director of RIHub. RIHub is the regional innovation hub. In particular, we spend our focus and time on startups that actually can grow in a global sort of scaling way, in a big way. So very excited to be here with you today. We also offer a program specifically for companies coming from Israel. So we are actually about to have an announcement about our program that enables companies coming out of Israel, in particular those that have gotten a jump from the IBM Alpha Zone accelerators and want to make that next step to join us here in the US. We are a land and expand program, and we can offer a lot to those interested in coming from Israel and joining us here in the United States. With that, I'm just going to let the speakers know. We're going to first talk to Docktech and Uri, and then we're going to talk to AI Health, and then we're going to end with Gloat. So really good program today. I want to invite all of you that are watching, if you have questions, don't hesitate, put them in that chat. We'll go ahead and work with these questions as we're going. Each of the folks that are going to be presenting today will actually pitch their company for about 8 or 10 minutes, and then we'll ask questions after that. So Uri, with that being said, please introduce yourself and your company, and we're excited to hear about Docktech.
Great, thank you. It's great to be here. Let me know if the sharing is done right.
It's good.
You're able to see that?
Yes.
Great, so I'm very excited to be here. And thank you for having us. My name is Uri Yosolevich. I'm the CEO and founder of Docktech, and we are helping maritime stakeholders take more cargo in a safer way. So just a few words about us. Me personally, I was a naval officer in the 3rd Flotilla. I've been handling navigation and onboard electronics for a little under 10 years. And together with our wonderful team and advisor and the programs that we attended, we have come together for our mission to maximize waterway potential globally. So what do I actually mean? Well, maritime logistics is just a vast topic that handles over 90% of all world trade. It's estimated that the goods transport by sea is in the value of $5 trillion on an annual basis. And one of the interesting and significant factors in this world is water depth. Water depth is the vertical distance between the surface of the water and the bottom. And that parameter actually dictates how much cargo can you load on a vessel. If you're loading a vessel, it sinks, it gets closer to the ground, and we have to make sure that there's enough gap between the lowest part and the bottom. But the problem is that the bottom is changing, the conditions are changing, the rise and tide are changing the entire water column, and we need to gain better visibility in order to plan our cargo voyages. So it's actually a matter of how safe you want to go, whereas how full you want to go. We've come up with a way that you can enjoy both of the worlds. So you can go as full as the route allows you and as safe as you can go. But just on the incentive of why do you want to get that extra depth on or extra cargo on each vessel, don't think about it. If you add just 1 centimeters of draft, so you load the cargo so the vessel sinks by 1 centimeter, you're putting a whole lot of cargo on board. So the incentive is pretty clear. If we're talking about 1,300 oil barrels and such. So how are we doing that? We have developed a concept of digital twin. A digital twin is a digital representation of the waterway and the conditions themselves. So we are collecting data that is static or semi-static together with dynamic data that is generated on board vessels. I heard you have quite a lot of them in Rhode Island. And that enables us to understand what is going on and what are the current conditions in order to make the most out of the waterway. So semi-static data is the charts that we are all aware of, is the data that we get from Corps of Engineers or Coast Guard or other authorities. And we mix it up together with data that is coming on board vessels. We have a special hardware that is a data collector that we deploy on vessels such as tugboats in ports, push boats in rivers, and we are collecting data that is already being generated. And we upload it into the cloud, and then we can display that in order that operation manager, port captains, and other stakeholders can make the best decision with regards to depth and with regards to cargo in general. We have a couple of projects around the world which we are very excited about, and we have some others along the way. One of the significant one we did in the States was in the Mississippi River, and more specific, where the Mississippi River meets the intercoastal waterway, which is very shallow waterway that has a lot of restrictions. And we are hoping that real soon we're going to have another pin real close to the Rhode Island area. We have conducted a pilot together with the Port of Ashdod, with the support of the Israeli Innovation Authority. And as I told you, we've done a case study together with the leading barge operator in the US. Just a month ago, we started a new project in Brazil. And I'm happy to say that it's already found the initial results were very successful, and now we're scaling to other ports in Brazil. So what's next for us? Next in the line, and this is the verticals that we'll be able to derive with the data sets that we are building. So one of the obvious one is risk analysis. If we understand how vessels act and what's the profile of risk in shallow waterways, we are able to provide initial data, as well as autonomous shipping. Think about our network as a broad data set for autonomous shipping. And if you think of all the data that is generated on board, we have depth sounder that tell us what the depth we need to ship, GPS to tell us the location, but we have wind sensors, we have temperature sensors, humidity, you have a lot of and sophisticated sensors that we are already collecting, which will enable us to have a more accurate weather forecast. So that's our story in a nutshell. We started with ports, we started with river operation, and just not a while ago, we were contacted by local marina in order to use the same concept in a recreational uses. So we are very excited about that and looking forward to see the results. And I think I will just end up here. I will close here, and I'll show you how how amazing the river operations really look like. And I hope that it comes out right, but think about if we are able to add just 1 inch on every one of those barges.
That is
so. I'll close here, and thank you, and I'm open for any questions.
Well, let me thank you for that presentation. It was really awesome. Hey, I like to talk a little bit about you. I like to talk about you and your team a little bit. When you came out of the Navy, correct? You were part of the Marine world. When did you get this idea? Like, how did this come to you? When did you think, gee, this is something that's a big problem that I need to solve?
Well, I was always really intrigued with combining two of my biggest passions for maritime and passion for technology, and this is kind of my way to do that. Maybe I'll just stop the sharing.
Yeah, you have. That's good. Hey, so with that, you kind of got into this and said, gee, you need to actually build equipment to put onto ships, etc. So I was fascinated by the fact that you said that you're putting these, basically these pieces of equipment into sort of the local waterway, the most likely local waterway vehicles, whether they're tugboats, etc. I suddenly thought about, is this like a Waze where at any given time I could look at Rotterdam and know what the conditions are there as a sea captain? Is that how that works?
Exactly. So as you said, if you're planning a ride from point A to point B and you want to know how much time and what are the conditions, how long does it take you, you're logging into a platform. This is the concept of Waze, as you said, and you're seeing cars that are already on the road reporting back. So we kind of took this concept and use it in the waterways where there's a lot of similarities. That's
fascinating. Actually, that's really smart. I didn't, when I was reading about you guys, I didn't get that until you just said that, but I like that a lot. So if I'm a ship captain and I'm, or I'm the—
You can call it the WaterWays. See
what
I'm doing there?
The waterway, yeah. Okay, so I'm actually, somebody's making decisions about loading up a ship in Rotterdam, and I'm going to San Diego, California. There's a lot of time involved between here and there. And actually I have no idea how long that would take, that journey. But so assume that I'm actually looking at your platform and able to then decide whether I can add more or add less based on real-time data and data that's been presented over time. Is that how that works?
Exactly. So if you think about it, it's obviously all things in life are more complicated than what we described now. But shippers and skippers and operation managers today are using all the data that is available to them to make the right decision per the for the exact minute of the ship leaving the port. And today the capabilities of current means, which is taking a picture of the seabed every once in a while, doesn't allow you to do a concise database forecast. And when you constantly monitor, think about that, at the end, when you get a result today, you have one value per area, per pixel. It's conducted by a lot of samples, but it's survey from today, it's just one value. And we're creating several millions of samples per pixel per day in different times.
That's fabulous.
That's what it enables us.
And are you also pulling data? Are you able to also pull data off of buoys? Is that something you can pull other data from, or is it only data coming for your equipment?
So today we are combining several types of data. If the buoys is already let's say IoT certified, which means that it has some kind of an API on some place that we will generally use it. Also to see water levels, we are using the NOAA gauge network as well, gauges network, so we can see the river levels in every river mile along the Mississippi, Ohio River, etc. So it's a combination of a lot of data sources, but I think the most important thing here is the value that is on board vessels. even in yachts, and this is why we're experimenting now in the marina.
Yeah.
Even in a very simple yacht, you have a sounder, you have a GPS, and you're creating a lot of data that is just being generated and gone.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, so I actually am curious about this. So as I travel, like just like air flight, depending on the time of day, the jet stream and the conditions, I could use less or more fuel. It's very important to know what the conditions are to get the best route for best fuel consumption. So the question is, can we do that in the oceans? Are you doing that? So in other words, if I'm going to Rotterdam to San Diego, and there's some sort of ongoing current that I could know about in advance and actually in real time, is that something you all are doing too? Like to let me know how to go the best route for the, basically, keeping my efficiencies high? Or is that
Right.
not yet something?
Our proficiency is in shallow waterways, which
Okay,
are
Shelley, got it. That's what
the key,
Got
the weakest link in the chain,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So in order to understand the cargo for the entire voyage,
yeah.
you need to understand what's the weakest link. This is why
Got
we're focusing on ports and on rivers.
Okay, good. That helped me to zero it in. By the way, I grew up in New Orleans, so that whole river area, I know.
There you go.
I know what a problem it is. I know how it's a lot of technology. So someone asked, have you guys worked at all in the U.S. with the Army Corps of Engineers for any of?
So we've just started to engage with them. Obviously, it's a little different than engaging with a private company in a lot of aspects. But it's something that we are considering together how to push this forward. In general, we have high interest in the inland industry, in the barge operators, and this industry has suffered some serious decline of the period of time due to COVID and some export regulations. So we're trying to see how can we bring the maximum value in the best way there.
And to that end, actually, Avi asked a question was really good. Can you pinpoint for us sort of the best entities that you see that you could partner with? How can we help you actually move this faster along?
Right. So, and this is how we started this wonderful engagement. Is actually we are looking to choose like 2 or 3 pilot partners. That are port authorities within the US. This is our target market, as well as Brazil, to start this, to have the first foot in the door in the US. This is why I was exposed to the wonderful opportunities in Rhode Island and in Everglades and
And I'm assuming, by the way, so we have a wonderful port here, and it fits exactly what you're talking about, because it does get narrow, it does get shallower compared to some ports around the country. So good. That's good to know. Actually, also want to ask you another question. We've got quite a oceanography and kind of a lot of expertise here in Rhode Island around the oceans, and in particular, I know of a grad student who's got a patent on his ability to predict with very precise precision. Precise precision doesn't make any sense. With great precision on a daily basis, the currents at the top. So basically that first foot, if you will, does that make a difference for you guys in terms of like that, that top level? It would make a difference for a sailboat, but it might not make a difference for a shipping line. Does that make any sense?
Well, there's a lot of factors. When we started this, we actually look at the very scientific model. So it was, this idea was generated during a hackathon. It's kind of came all together. If you spoke about Rotterdam, so we were the winners of the last World Port Hackathon in Rotterdam. And it's kind of where it's all came together there. And we understand that there's a high complexity in trying to to build a model that is strictly relying on physics.
Yep.
So snows on some Austrian mountain, the amount of rain in this area, the currents, and we understand that there has to be a way to acknowledge that, but also look at where we got and then analyze that. So have it more real-time database, and this is what we got. We say, hey, we're going to observe, right? So if a ship passes on top of an area and it samples it, you're observing what is real there. So
Right.
it's decided to lean more on the real time and then combine the physical model along the way,
Yeah.
but not as a sole.
I think this is a winner. You're going after a very large, very important, expensive market for everyone in the world in terms of what you're doing. I congratulate you. We want to do whatever we can to help you reach out to the folks that will make a difference for you here in the U.S., in particular in our region in Rhode Island. I'll ask anybody else have any other questions. Okay, from there, we thank you, Uri. Please, we'll stay in touch. And if anybody has any further questions for Uri, let us know and we'll keep things moving here. All right.
Thank you for all the compliments.
You're in the right place. And it's definitely an area that we can see leveraging technology is going to make a big difference here. And it's not one that I've heard of any competitors yet. I don't know. There probably are a couple of competitors. I should have asked you that. Are there a couple of people out there competing?
There are several around the world.
Okay.
In Europe, they are very strong along rivers.
Okay.
Intelligent platforms. We're kind of have a different approach in that, and how we solve that and how we approach. Yeah.
Great. Well, that's good. But all the more reason for us to help you move faster. All right.
Exactly.
Thanks very much. All right.
Please stay with us, because in the end we'll have questions that will come up to the whole team.
Exactly. Sure. Okay.
I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Next, we're going to hear from Zack of AI Health. Zack.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good to see you, and thank you for joining us here. And I know it's a little late for you, but I love this topic because you're basically, in my mind, sort of democratizing the ability to actually get information about your eye health. So do you have a presentation that you'd like to share? Terrific.
Absolutely.
All right. Take it away, Zack.
I hope you can see my screen well, and fantastic. And thanks to the organizers for having me on your program. So we're going to talk about, so our company, as mentioned, is called AI Health. As you can guess, we do AI to eyes, and in particular to retinal imaging. Maybe to take a few moments to explain what a retinal image is. It's an image of where you can see. It's the only place in the body that, without cutting anyone, we have direct access to blood vessels and nerve system. So that allows us to find problems that can cause blindness. There are a few major cases: diabetic retinopathy to people who are diabetic. As people get old, they develop problems related to degeneration, like glaucoma, AMD, but also problems related to hypertension, cardiovascular indications, dementia. So it really is an amazing diagnostic tool. And our goal is, as mentioned, to democratize it, which means to allow everyone to do screening for potential problems everywhere in an affordable manner. And that's why you also see here handheld devices and even smartphone cameras. Specifically, there is a super large population that is considered high risk, and those people are required every year to get screened to prevent blindness. It's more than 1 billion people in the world, so it's a huge number. And in the US specifically, it's just shy of 80 million people. There are two main groups that are considered high risk. One is the diabetics. They can develop retinopathy, so they need to be tested every year. And the second group is people above the age of 65, even though guidelines recommend to start testing retina from the age of 40. And basically, those people can develop the problems related to degeneration. And the tragedy here is that the vast majority of people don't go to the ophthalmologist every year as they need to, for many reasons. And those people, unfortunately, get blind in many cases because the brain does an amazing job to bypass local problems. So by the time people don't see very well, it's too late to treat. And the current standard of care is really inefficient. The main problem is that the vast majority don't go to the ophthalmologist, and those people will remain undiagnosed. The second problem is that even the people that actually go to the ophthalmologist get there, 90% of them are fine. So it's not great utilization, of the ophthalmologist's time. So that's really inefficient. So the right way to do it is to screen the people at the point of care setting. It could be a primary care physician, endocrinologist. It can be the CVS store near where you live. And then you can screen those people, everyone. It takes a minute, and only those that have suspicious findings will be referred to the ophthalmologist, and the rest are done, and that's it. And the most amazing part is that this process is now reimbursable. It's the first time ever that CMS approved a CPT code reimbursement from insurance for AI to actually replace the professional part done by a physician, which is the first space right now that has such code. So that means that you will be able to screen your patients and get reimbursed for it using the AI, which is really fantastic. And our way to do this is with a big emphasis on handheld devices and really a portable solution. So right now, people would usually take images using large tabletop devices. They would cost tens of thousands of dollars. And obviously, if you're an endocrinologist or a CVS store, you'll never buy those kind of cameras. What you need is something small and portable, and that's what we're up to. That's the kind of solution we're offering today. Quickly about our company. I'm the CEO of the company, and I've built a couple of successful companies before in the AI space. I'm a PhD in machine learning, and I've served in the Israeli intelligence in my past. My co-founder, Danny, is also a serial successful entrepreneur. His last company had done a huge IPO at the NASDAQ New York. Generally, we've built a very strong team of professionals, key opinion leaders in ophthalmology. For instance, Uri Yosolevich here on this list sold to date 8 companies in this space in 9 figures. Very successful and impressive guy. But really, all of our board and team are, I think, the right team to deliver this product. The company features 3 products. One is bundles. So basically, a bundle means to sell a subscription that includes a handheld device with AI. So you can use that device, unlimited AI. You can screen as many patients as you want and get reimbursed for it. And I know I'm on the small screen, but think of this kind of device. This is an Optima device, one of our partners. So you get this device and limited use of your AI, and then you can screen your patients. Second is licensees and OEMs, where we give our abilities to partners that need readings. And then HES, which is a product for hospitals. And this is a collaboration today we have with UMass, and the Bird Foundation just approved a grant of just shy of $1 million to that project, which is great. So to summarize, we today focus on a number of verticals, camera manufacturers, such as Optomed, which are today part of our clinical trials, pharma companies. We just announced a collaboration with Roche, diabetes care, healthcare providers like UMass, Mount Sinai, Lay Clinic, and others that we work with. So to summarize, I think the advantages of our company is that we have great accuracy. We've built amazing AI. We have superior results in the industry, and we've built algorithms that are camera agnostic, so they do not depend on a particular device. And we support handheld cameras. We are the only company today that offers screening solutions on handheld, and that's part of our clinical trials. We have a special sub-study for handheld devices. Our FDA is expected to get this quarter, so we're really excited about that. And it's for autonomous AI. It's not the decision support. It's actually for making the screening decision. We work with camera manufacturers like Optomed and pharma companies like Roche. And we're about to announce of more collaborations, the HES product with hospitals. We work with a number of leading academic centers of excellence. And I think we were able to build the A team of data scientists with combined over 100 years of hands-on machine learning experience. So that's in short. I hope it was interesting for you.
Wow, is that impressive? That's amazing. Actually, I'm a person who had eye surgery on Friday, so I've been doing a lot with my eyes. So I know a lot about this because I also work with a nonprofit for inherited retinal diseases, which the eye, so interesting because it's also a closed system, and we're seeing therapies actually come to market that can treat people very well with eye maladies. So how long ago did you start your company?
So we started this company a bit over 2 years ago, beginning of 2018. Yeah, so it's
very impressive amount of work, because one of the things that struck me was initially I thought it was for use with, my camera and my phone. And you say you're camera agnostic, but you also say you're spending a lot of time with camera manufacturers. So talk to us a little bit about that. Is that because you want to make sure that camera manufacturers can get penetration into the point of service here, whether that's your regular, general practitioner healthcare provider or the CVS or the local drugstore? Is that why camera manufacturers are important here for you?
Yeah, well, I think think of two cameras that you can buy. One camera is one that you acquire the images of the patient, and then you need to send those images to an ophthalmologist and then chase him or her to get reading. One camera, and the second camera that comes with integrated AI. And by the time you've finished obtaining those images, you already have an answer whether that patient needs to see the ophthalmologist or not. So now all those camera manufacturers, and there are many of them that are quite big, understand this is a must-have technology. Otherwise, they're not going to be relevant in this market anymore. So obviously, in this space, we talk to all of those players. And secondly, the FDA wants to see your actual efficacy on particular models.
Right.
So it's also important to include those players, as part of clinical trials.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in terms of, how you might change the actual relationship with my ophthalmologist, are you also looking to make that a different scenario when I actually do visit the ophthalmologist? Is that part of the go-to-market here?
I think it's a fantastic question, and sometimes people may get the impression that what we do is some sort of threat on ophthalmologists' bottom line, and actually it's quite the opposite. The tragedy right now is that people, so let's say you have someone that is diabetic and he or she, they didn't go to the ophthalmologist in time, and now it's too late to treat those people. And actually the big dollars for ophthalmologists, it's not about screening people. That's not that interesting, actually. The big dollars are to treating those conditions. And that's the good news. If you find those conditions in time, you can prevent the blindness.
Yeah.
And so for all they care, they want to democratize the screening so that they can get 5, 6x more referrals. So this technology would actually help those people find in time they have relevant conditions, and then they can get to the ophthalmologist and get the treatment they need.
Yeah,
so
that's
really,
that's a no-brainer, right? I mean, if you can make this happen so it's easy enough for every one of us to get screened on a regular basis, it's painless. Why wouldn't you do it? Because the treatment would work. And if you don't do it, you're prone to actually go blind. So that's such a no-brainer. It's almost like when years and years ago, suddenly you saw even in local pharmacies, a way to actually put a cuff on and get your reading of your blood pressure, sort of like suddenly making it easy to get your blood pressure taken. And suddenly for health of the eye, you can actually do something similar, which is really exciting. And let's talk about the payer system. So you mentioned in your presentation that you've gotten the go-ahead from, the payers that they would pay. And we're talking about US or Israel, or how does the payment flow? Where does the money flow for you guys?
Great question. Well, first of all, we are focused on the US market. That's currently our only market. That's going to remain our only market for some time. We're very much focused on that. And the United States is the only market where now you have a reimbursement code for AI to do this. So you can take this kind of technology to other places and figure out who's going to pay for it. But in the US, CMS already approved the CPT code. So, and obviously all insurance companies follow those CPT codes. And naturally, we are in dialogues with all of them. If it's Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Humana, you name it, we need to make sure that they will make life easier for providers to bill for that code. But obviously, it's their interest because they have savings both in the short term, because if we go back to your example, right, then those people that can get this screen at CVS store, they save this unnecessary visit to the ophthalmologist. If all you need to do is to screen the retina, then paying $50 for reimbursement is a much better deal than paying $250 for
Right.
the ophthalmologist visit. But in the long term, that's where you see much bigger savings, because to treat people with severe conditions, or even worse, blind people, that's a huge pain for payers.
That's fantastic. All right, do we have any other questions? And just one, I'm going to leave you with one note. The other things you need to do in the U.S., like who are your best, most important partners in the U.S. right now? You mentioned pharmaceutical. You mentioned, you're already in the FDA. Are there other entities in the U.S. that you could use help with?
Mostly we today look at close work with payers, with large provider networks.
Got it.
We're really interested in pharmacy clinics, all those CVS, Walgreens, Sam's Club, Walmart, because that's scalable. I think once we can show great ROI and endpoints in those clinics, it can be scaled all across the United States. So that's really our main focus.
Terrific. Zach, that may be something we can really help you with. So we're happy to hear about that. Okay, terrific. Stick around. And we've got one more company we're going to talk to now, Gloat. So excited to, and it's Noam. You are the one that's
Noam.
Speaking.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I know that there's actually Maya is here too from your organization, but why don't you go ahead and take it away if you've got a presentation. This is Gloat, and it's really all about workforce and doing new things to make workforce more flexible.
To make workforce work better, to become more productive indeed. Thank you, Annette. Hi, everyone. It's nice meeting you. My name is Noam. I am the VP Business Development here at Gloat. I've been with the company for 4 years now. I'm joined by Maya, Annette, as you mentioned, who recently joined the team to drive business development, drive strategy, and really created this wonderful connection with the Rhode Island Israel collaborative. So thank you, Maya. Thank you, Avi and team, for having us. We're very excited, and it seems to be a wonderful opportunity. And I think that, following those first two great presentations is definitely a challenge. So let me give it a shot. Here. Right, and tell you a bit about Gloat and what is it that we're trying to do. Annette, you referred to the word workforce, to the word talent. How we're taking talent who sits and works in the modern enterprise and transform this enterprise to a talent marketplace. Today, and I think it's no secret, if we look at enterprises, big companies, probably the main asset of those companies, irrespective to the sector, to the industry, is their people. In particular, in such uncertain times when COVID came into our lives, there is huge uncertainty among the workforce, among people. We see many companies act in a fashion of workforce reduction, on hire freeze, and there are a lot of questions about the utilization of the existing workforce and their way to develop their career in a smart, scalable, personalized manner. How we do that? I'll get to it in a second. I will tell you just one word about Gloat as a company. So we were founded at the beginning of 2016. We were able, and we have been facing pretty significant growth ever since, which is pretty exciting. To date, Gloat is comprised of actually nearly 100 employees with some pretty significant funds and fundraising rounds recently. And that is a lot thanks to work with some leading enterprises out there across the globe, among them Unilever, Schneider Electric, Walmart, ADP, Standard Chartered, Nestle, Seagate, PepsiCo, and others, really who wish to take their workforce and to strive for a very big HR transformation to unlock capacity and to become more productive while making their people more happy, more satisfied, and really way better utilized in their performance. When we look at enterprise, let's take a look at what becomes or what are becoming some of the main challenges enterprises face, in particular this employee-employer disconnect, if you wish, where from one hand, we have employees who have more passion to develop new skills and experiences rather than new titles, however, face lack of visibility to internal career opportunities. It sounds like an absurd, but apparently it is way easier. And in a Deloitte survey, Deloitte figured that 66% of the workforce apparently will say that it is easier to find jobs outside the company than inside the company, even though employees may work for a company, for a big enterprise for 5, 10, maybe 15 years or so, and it will be still easier for them to find opportunities outside, as they don't have visibility whatsoever to opportunities across the organization, and not only in a linear and siloed way, also in a cross-functional way, how those people can actually enhance their capabilities, reskill or upskill, in particular in times when new capabilities are required for the business survival as well as for people's development. With that, we see, or on the other way, on the other side of the equation, we see how companies are suffering from an increasing voluntary turnover, increased people cost, and an urgent need to redeploy talent. So if I give an example of one of our biggest customers, Schneider Electric, this is a global deployment over 100 countries, started primarily, by the way, in the US in Boston, but over 100 countries with roughly 90,000 employees who are using the platform today. So they will say that apparently 60% of the people who left the company said in exit interviews that they are doing so due to lack of visibility to their career across the organization. And think what happens when this comes alongside a hire freeze or workforce reduction, what then is the pain for a company? Eventually, it's a question, if we look from an employee lens, then about development, and from an organizational lens, it's about talent redeployment. It's about unlocking capacity, creating more with less. Digging just a bit deeper to the challenges before I'll give a snapshot to what we actually offer, is to say that eventually one of the key challenges companies have is this siloed approach, or a lack of visibility on talent as a whole. We hear many times HR leaders tell us that apparently if they needed to learn about their own talent, they would go on LinkedIn rather than seeking for data in their own HR ecosystem, which is absurd. And this leads really to a siloed organization, to stagnation. And even if imagine that a company which has a task or something to a new piece of work, what happens often is that they will go out for an external recruitment or for a third party, for more contractors. Think of Unilever, for example, as a company. So Unilever is the 170,000 employee company. Almost 2/3 of their workforce are, or not, like roughly 30,000 employees, not 2/3, will be contractors. And to what extent we're actually losing twice. We're paying more money and our existing workforce stagnates rather than develop. So that's something we see, as well as other challenges. And something we asked ourselves a few years back was how we solve this very significant challenge, leveraging AI, leveraging the Gloat technology. What we bring to the table is the Gloat two-sided marketplace, powered by AI, powered by machine learning algorithms, where from one hand, employees, and imagine, put for a second at the head of an employee within a large enterprise. What you do, you log into the platform, you build your profile literally in 60 seconds, where the platform takes data from multiple sources through integrations and captures everything into one comprehensive talent profile. And right after, the platform will identify personalized career opportunities within the organization and will draw a personalized career path for the individual within the organization. So in essence, the notion we're trying to create is that career development within the organization is employee-led rather than an HR transactional platform, if you wish. From the other side of the equation, we have managers who open new pieces of work, not necessarily full-time jobs, what we traditionally thought to think of career development is that is only permanent transitions and full-time roles, this 9 to 5 perception that we used to have in the past. Today, we are talking about different types of career opportunities across the organization. Those could be part-time projects or gigs. Those could be also mentorship opportunities. Those could be learning and training opportunities, which are associated explicitly with skill gaps that the platform identifies. So eventually managers, hiring managers across the organization will be able to get in seconds visibility to the top 5, 10 candidates, internal talent across the organization who could be a good fit for a piece of work, for an opportunity they post on the Gloat platform. If I go a bit deeper on that, then I'll say that eventually we target 4 layers of stakeholders across the organization. First and foremost, these are the employees who actually seek for more visibility for opportunities and get personalized recommendations real time on things they can do literally tomorrow morning, and also get an insight on their skill gaps and what is it that they need to develop, not only to survive in the business, but also to get to the point they wish to get, even if that means a cross-function transition. I'm now in marketing, but my aspiration is to get into finance, into IT, into business development, and so on and so forth. Then we talk about managers, how these people get quick access to skills at speed, at scale, and can assign talent and redeploy talent from one area of the business to another quickly, as opposed to what happens today, which takes weeks and months. We talk about HR leaders, HR executives, who traditionally struggle with getting a seat in the table and really driving business decisions, but now have the ability to get a strategic view into internal workflow, into internal hiring transitions across the business through the platform. And lastly, we talk about executives, business owners of the enterprise who can get real-time input into their workforce. Literally HR trends in the form of skill supply and demand, or the most highly available skills, or the ones that are in the highest demand. Imagine yourself in the seat of an executive who now needs to know in a few clicks what is the skill scarcity or what are the biggest gaps of skills versus the industry and the competition in India in the marketing team, for example. So that is segmented by function, department, geography, and so on and so forth. This is done and driven by, first and foremost, by technology, by Gloat's AI, machine learning, and IP proprietary that we've been developing for the past 5 years or so, but not only technology, also a playbook on how to deploy such solution. We're talking on something that we acknowledge the fact that is a cultural shift across the organization, where we need to re-educate the market that career development is led by employees, right, as well as talent is owned by the organization, as well as career as a whole is not linear. It's not me moving forward or going up in the ladder, but possibly moving horizontally, pursuing new skills, new experience. How we do it with the Gloat playbook and change an enablement mechanism and plan. Lastly, I'll say, you may ask, so obviously in large enterprises, they will all have their big HR ecosystem, their legacy solutions, how we not override them, rather complete them, how we capture data from multiple sources. And again, that's one of the biggest challenges those companies have, because they have partial data, usually dirty and not standardized, but we are capturing everything, engaging the employees to build their own profile, and then feed back those platforms to create one comprehensive talent profile, and against it, provide career recommendations or talent recommendations for the managers.
Right.
I lastly mentioned, and I know we're short in time, I will just say that a key thing for us is to drive a clear and explicit ROI, unlock capacity, and have explicit measurements, which are, by the way, reported by our customers. Like Unilever CEO very recently talks about unlocked capacity, a significant increase in productivity, and literally $15 million cost savings on external hiring annually.
That's
I
great.
know we're short in time. I'll stop here.
Thank
Yeah.
That's awesome. Actually, two slides before is exactly what I was going to ask about. All of the ecosystem that we as employees or the HR people use, that was the key. And it seems to be like you're bringing all that in, and that's actually really, really smart in terms of being able to do a better job. And you're absolutely right. People inside the company cannot get to the information inside the company, not just about HR, but almost about anything else. So really smart way to go. How long has Gloat been around, by the way?
So Gloat has been around 4.5, almost 5 years now.
Okay.
We have operations. Like our R&D center is based out of Israel. That's where we are primarily launched, founded by 3 intelligence unit people. Very smart, who actually their main purpose back at the time was to develop something for the army, for the intelligence, better utilization process for the talent. So they were able to take it, to what we're doing today. Yeah.
Absolutely a big problem, huge problem. It's really good to see that you've got Unilever and Schneider Electric. You've got some big companies there. Do you have a U.S. presence, or are you looking to do a U.S. headquarters?
So we have a pretty significant U.S. presence all across the U.S. And actually our prime objective is to keep growing, to drive more sales, to meet executive HR leaders in enterprises, usually above 4,000 employees, 5,000 employees and north. That would be awesome.
Thank you for joining us. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you all. If there aren't